Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to change the oil on one of my other vehicles. So this is one of my daily drivers. It's a 2008 Buick Lucerne. So let's get started. Let's start with some of the stuff that I'm going to be using. So I choose to use AC Delco filters and Mobil 1 oil. The oil is 530, so it's just basically your preference. That's just what I use. The AC Delco filter part number is PF47E. And I'll list everything that I'm using down below in the description. You're also going to need a 15mm wrench or socket to get the oil plug out. You need a filter wrench just in case the filter's on super tight. And then a pair of gloves comes in handy. Of course, you're going to need some paper towels to wipe everything off, and then something to catch the oil. Now, you're going to have to get this thing off the ground a little bit, so you have a couple different options. I'm using my race ramps, which I'll also list down below. I love these things. I use them for everything. But this gets it up just enough for me to get underneath it. It's just a little too low to get underneath without having it lifted in the front. So let's get started. Once we get under the car, the plug is actually on the back side of the pan. You can see it right there, right between it and the transmission pan. So take your 15mm wrench or socket and loosen that up. Get it out of the way. Now I like to make sure my vehicles are somewhat warm, just makes the oil drain out a little quicker. So we're going to loosen that up, let the oil drain out, and we have enough room too to get the filter at the same time. So we're going to put our filter wrench on there, crank that filter off, and let it drain at the same time. Now that I got the plug out and the oil's draining here, we're ready to take the filter off. Now the filter, I have a couple different filter wrenches. I have one that slips on the end of this, it's fit for this filter. And then I have the universal one, which gets tight as you turn it. So either way, just spin that filter backwards and make sure you get a pan under it, because it is going to leak oil. Now the filter's off, I'm still letting it drain a little bit. We need to check out the bolt that goes into the pan. So this has a gasket on it, and we need to make sure that that gasket's still good, and mine looks like it's in really good shape. If your gasket's flat or broken or torn in any way, you need to make sure that you replace it, and I'll list that part number down below too. But this one looks good, so we're just going to clean it up, make sure you clean the threads out if there's anything in them, and get ready to put it back in once the oil drains out. There's a couple things we need to do before we put the new filter on. The first thing is I always clean the mating surface off, make sure that the rubber piece on the O-ring is not still left on there. If you put two O-rings on, you could have a leak down the road, so make sure that the old one is off, or make sure it's on your old filter. I'm also going to use a little bit of oil to soften this gasket up, so I'm going to take a little new oil and rub around the end. And because of the way this filter mounts, I'm going to fill it about half full of oil, and that just keeps from having such a dry start on our first startup. So let's get that done. Fill this up, clean that off, make sure you put oil around the new gasket to soften it, and then we'll spin it on and just make it hand tight. Once the filter's on and hand tight, if your hands are oily, make sure you wipe them off, and like I said, just hand tight. You don't have to get crazy with this. You do not need to use the wrench to put it back on, but make sure that it's on nice and snug. We can go ahead and put our plug back in, which I've done, and then we need to tighten it up as well. Same thing here, don't get really crazy, just nice and snug. Once you have the plug tightened back up, we're up here on the top side, and we need to take the cap off. It just unscrews, pulls out, and we need to put a funnel in, and we're going to start with 4 quarts. Like I said, this car takes just under 5 quarts. We're going to start with 4 and then kind of check it and see where we're at. At this point I got 4, just a hair over 4 quarts, so about 4 1/4 quarts, and I use the dipstick here to check, and we are within range. So now we're going to start it up, and what will happen is it'll allow that filter to fill up. Once the filter fills up, it might be a little shy, so we're going to check it again, and then we're going to pull it off the race ramp so it's on nice level ground, and check it for one last time. And then we're going to go into the car and reset the oil life monitor. Once I started the engine, it did need about another half quart, so I went ahead and put another half quart in it. Now we're going to pull it down off the race ramps, check it one last time, and then like I said, we're going to reset that oil life monitor. Okay, I went ahead and checked the oil level when I got it off the race ramps. Everything was great. So now we're ready to set the oil life monitor. On the left side of the steering wheel here, we have a series of buttons. We're going to go to the information button. It's a little car with a picture of an eye. And then we're going to go through until we get to oil life, and it's actually the first one that pops up. So all we have to do once we're on that screen is we're going to hit this check mark, which is right to the very right of these buttons, and we're going to hold it down. And when we hold it down, it'll reset that to 100% life remaining, and we're good to go. All right, we're all finished up here. So I know it's not one of the most exciting projects that I'm working on, but you know, we have other videos for that. But nonetheless, it is one of my daily drivers, and I do like to keep up with maintenance on those things as well, so I don't just let them, you know, rot while I work on all the other fun stuff. So this is one of my wife's daily drivers. I generally drive my truck, and she drives this on kind of rainy days, or you know, if we had snow or whatever. But anyway, guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. And if you have any comments or want to see anything else, drop it in the comments down below. Like I said, in the description, I'm going to list all the products that I use. I'm also able to be reached at TWA Motorsports at Hotmail, or you can hit me up on Instagram at TWA Motorsports. Thanks for watching.